cuties. I'm Lanikia, and you're watching What Happened on the Soaps. This is Days of Our Lives edition. All right, let's get right into it. Today is Thursday, July the 14th, 2022. And you know how we do on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm going to give it a 9. It was a really solid episode to me, and there was a lot of information being thrown out there and a lot of things that's happening. All right, guys. So we're gonna start off with my couple that I hate that broke up, but it is what it is, and that is Roman and Kate. So Roman goes into the restaurant because uh, Eric is going to continue to try to find Nicole. Excuse me, Sammy. And Roman says, "Well, I'm going to stay here in case Sammy comes here." So Roman goes to his restaurant and he's like, "Kate, what you doing here? Why you not with Lucas?" And she said, "I need to talk to you." And so he thinks she's trying to apologize about Lucas and him kidnapping Sammy, but he doesn't blame her for that because he says that's not your fault. Like you didn't know, and she says, "Well, I did know." And he said, "Wait, what are you talking about?" And she says, "I knew that Lucas kidnapped Sammy, and I did not give you that information." And he says, "When did you know this? Like we had this pack on New Year's Eve," and because she tells him, "I didn't want to lose. I had lost Philip, and I didn't want to lose Lucas that way." And he was like, "Philip, okay, okay." He was like, "I get it, but we've had a pact on New Year's Eve that we would not hold secrets from each other." And she said, "I didn't know at the time when we did that Sammy was kidnapped by Lucas." She said, "I didn't have that information then." He said, "So when did you find out?" Baby, Kate said January the 5th, and he said, "Oh, a whole 5 days." And she said, "I just couldn't lose Lucas the way I had lost Philip, so she couldn't tell." And listen, I like Kate. She has her faults, but I like Kate, and I understand because you could tell this whole time she was torn up. She was tormented about what Lucas had done to Sammy. And she wanted Roman to know, but she was trying to protect him, and she knew what Chad had done, so she was trying to protect all these people. And in her mind, Sammy was with Lucas, even though, you know, she was with her kidnapper. In Kate's mind, Sammy wasn't in danger anymore. And so Roman's like, she was with her, a psychopath. She was about to marry a psychopath. She was kidnapped by a psychopath and went on this European tour. And Kate said, "Now hold up, now that's my son." Now I said, "Well, you got to remind him, Kate." She said, "Nah, I know he done did wrong, but that's my son. So you're not just gonna fit. You're not just about to talk about him like this in front of me." And he said, "Why didn't you just tell me?" And she was like, "I couldn't." She didn't know how to tell him, and she felt guilty about it. And and she said she just felt guilty about it. And he said he could have killed. He's probably killed Abigail or whatever. And she said no, because it makes Kate really upset. She was like, "No, he couldn't have. He couldn't have." And Roman said, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that." And she said, "It's okay." And he tells her, because she said she was afraid to tell him because she thought he was going to leave her. And he said, "Well, you got one thing right. We're done." And so he says, "I want you to leave." So she about to get up, and I'm not gonna hold y'all long. She about to get up and just leave, right? But come back. He said, "No, no, no. Get your stuff and leave." I said, "Oh no." And she said, "Roman, you don't mean that. You don't mean this." And he said, "I'm done, Kate. Goodbye." And Roman walk away. And so Kate slowly started getting her stuff and going upstairs, to get her things and leave. Child, so then we go to who do we want to go to next? So then we go to Allie and Chat, Allie and Will. So Allie and Will are talking, and she says, "Will, can you believe what Dad has done? Do you think he killed Abigail? Maybe Chad was just upset." And Will said, "Listen, I'm not gonna hold y'all long on this." Will said, "Listen, if you had asked me earlier this morning would my dad ever kidnap Mom, I would tell you you're crazy. He would never do something like that." He said, "But now he was sober when he did that. He was drunk and he was blackout and he doesn't remember what he did to Abigail." So Will is like, "I don't know. It's possible." And Allie said, "I don't believe it," or whatever. So then Will started telling her about like the gash on his hand, how he got blackout drunk, how he kidnapped Sammy really to get her away from EJ. And because Allie was like, he was just trying to protect her from EJ. And Will said, "Allie," and she said, "I know, it's just an excuse." Because she was like, it don't make no sense. And so he said, "But he was sober when he did that. Like he was sober when he did that to Mom, and he knows he tortured her." by kidnapping her because she was afraid and she didn't know what was going to happen to her. And he said, so imagine if he thought he was going to lose mom. And they were like, and he sent EJ to jail. And that's another thing Roman told Kate. He said, when EJ finds out what you and Lucas have done, I would hate to be in your shoes. You sent him to prison. And that's what Will said. He was like, he sent EJ to prison. And he was sober when he did all this. What could he do when he's drunk and he doesn't remember it? And so they're just concerned and they don't know what to believe at this point. So then we see that at the jail we see Will. Oh, actually, I'm gonna stop at Eric and Nicole. So then we see Eric and Nicole. She meets him in the parking lot. Not the parking lot, but in the it's like the garden area of the coffee house or whatever. And so she meets him out there and she's like, Eric, is everything okay? Because he's distracted and stuff and he looking bothered, like he looks like something is wrong. So she's like, Eric, is everything okay? And he says, so he starts to tell her that. She said, why are you not at the reception? Why are, your sister just got married and you look like you're so sad. So Eric starts to tell Nicole everything that happened, and he says, you know there wasn't a wedding. And she was like, why? And he says, because we found out information about Lucas. And she was like, what is it? Because Lucas, Nicole likes Lucas. She said he kidnapped Sam. Eric says he kidnapped Sammy. And she was like, wait, what? And she said, oh my gosh. She was like, I would. And so they started talking more, and they was like, yeah, not only that, but he framed EJ. And now they're starting to think about he could possibly have killed Abigail. So he lets Nicole in on all this, and she was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? And then she was like, EJ went to prison. He was like, yeah, I know. And then she was like, honestly, me and Sammy have had our differences, but I don't wish that on anybody. But then she was like, I wish I could have seen her face when Lucas confessed. And Eric said, can't you show some sympathy? And she said, Sammy is showing his sympathy with me earlier. And so it went back to where Sammy told Nicole, who you gonna be going behind Rafe's back like you did Eric and all of that. And so Nicole thinks about that, and he was like, what did Sammy say? And she said, it's just Sammy or whatever. So anyways, but she tells him, as a woman and as a somebody who's had their heart broken. So as a woman and someone who's been in love and everything, I hate that happened to Sammy. Just as a human being, I hate that happened to her or whatever. So they talk or whatever, and you could tell Nicole is not over Eric. I said, girl, this finna be a mess. But let's move right along. So then we see who do we go to now? So then we see at the jailhouse, at the jail, in the interrogation room, Chad still has Lucas hemmed up, right? So he all up on Lucas, and Lucas like, get off of me, I didn't do this. Baby, Chad gonna grab Lucas' hand and he starts pressing in the cut. I almost passed out. Because that kind of stuff makes me weak. I know it's fake, but that kind of stuff makes me weak. So Lucas was like, I didn't do this. Even drunk, I know I didn't do this. And he says, you killed my wife, just admit it. And Chad started going all out off on Lucas. And then Rafe comes in and he's like, Chad, get out of here. Get out of here. He was like, don't you want him to, you could ruin the case or whatever. So he gets him out and he gets Chad out. And then once Chad is out of the room and everything, Lucas is like, he tells Chad, tell me what's going on. So then Chad starts telling not Lucas, Rafe everything. So Chad starts telling Rafe everything that happened as far as with the wedding and all of the information that Chad has come about, has the knowledge of because of what Will had told him about Lucas being drunk. He now knows that Clyde couldn't have done it. Lucas is drunk. He doesn't remember anything. He knows from Kate that Lucas knew ahead of time that Abigail knew what had happened to Sammy, that Lucas was the real kidnapper. So knowing all of that, he's like, it's a go figure that Lucas was the one who killed Abigail. He's got a cut on his hand. He was blackout drunk. He doesn't remember anything. He had motive because, and so because he knew that Abigail knew, and it just so happens to all coincide on the day that she was murdered. And so he's asking Rafe all these questions. I mean, Rafe is asking him all these questions. He said, "So what you telling me is that you went along with this as well?" He was like, "Yes." And he said, "EJ went to prison." He was like, "Now listen, I don't like EJ, but y'all sent that man to prison or whatever." And they were like, "Yeah," and Chad was like, "Yeah, and I'm gonna have to deal with that, and I know, or whatever." And so EJ says, not EJ, Rafe says, "Well, I'm gonna figure out all of this, and I'm gonna get back to you, but you can't mess up this case." So he goes in there with Lucas, and Lucas is like, "What did Chad tell you?" And he says, I'm curious about what you have to tell me. Did you kill Abigail? Where were you that night?" And he said, "I don't remember." He's like, "I was blackout drunk. I really don't remember." So then Will comes to the police station because he tells Allie, "I'm going to go to the police station." Allie says, "I'm going to stay here in case mom comes." And he speaks, Chad is there, and Chad apologizes to Will for using the information about his dad being drunk. He said, "I know you told me that in confidence." He said, "No, it's cool." He said, "You understand I have to support my dad." And Will, Chad says, "I understand." And Will says, "Okay, so are you about to leave?" And he said, "Yeah." And he said, "You should probably go ahead and leave." Because Chad, Will, and Sonny have a really cool relationship. So it's sad that all of this, happened. So then, child, we're going to go over here to EJ. So Belle gets up, runs to the bathroom, right? Because Sammy is knocking on the bedroom door. I said, "Well, who let Sammy in? Like, what? Y'all ain't got somebody just got murdered in your house and you still have no security? What's going on here?" But anyways, they so Sammy is knocking on the bedroom door, and EJ goes to the door and he lets her in. And I said, "Well, he ain't in nothing but boxers, Sammy. What you made you think he was up in that room by himself?" And the bed all messed up and stuff. But anyway, so she says, he was like, "Why aren't you getting married, Mrs. Horton?" And she says, "Well, I would be." And then she saw the bra and she was like, "Whose is this? Who's here with you? Whose is this?" And he was like, "Sammy, that's none of your business." And she says, "Oh, I know who it is." So she starts charging after the bathroom, and EJ wraps his arms around her and he was like, "Get out of here. Like, leave." And she said, "Nicole, I know it's you. It didn't take you long to start messing around on Rafe." She said, "Nicole, I know that's you." She said, "That's okay. I'm gonna tell Rafe, see how he feels about it and all that and all that." And so Belle comes out the bathroom and she said, "Once again, Sammy, you got it wrong." And Sammy like, "What? Wait a minute, what's going on here?" And she said, "EJ, you slept with my sister?" And she said, "Sammy, this is none of your business." Because Sammy and Belle don't have a great relationship anyway. So I guess Belle said, "I don't feel bad about it." And I don't feel bad about it. Sorry. I ain't sorry. Anyway, she said, "I don't feel bad about it." And so Sammy's just like, "Oh, okay, you sure right, you got the right one." And she said, "Y'all be happy with each other, but just know he only slept with you to get to me." And I said, "Sammy, you out of line for that. You're out of line. That is not. He really does care for Belle, baby. What I say that for?" They get down the stairs and EJ begging Sammy not to go. I said, "Well, what you chasing Sammy for?" Because he told her, "I'm gonna get you out of here." But Sammy, at that point, she had got down the stairs and she was leaving. And he said, "Samantha, Samantha, wait." He said, "The only reason you would be here is if something happened." "What happened?" And she's just like, "You were right, EJ. You were right. I almost married my kidnapper." He was like, "What are you talking about?" And she said, "Lucas kidnapped me. You were right the whole time. Lucas was the one that kidnapped me and everything." And she was like, "He was the one who did it, and I can't believe it," and all of that. And so then he says, "Samantha, I'm shy." She was like, EJ is the, I mean, excuse me, Lucas is the one who sent you to prison. EJ, he's the one who kidnapped me and almost married him. He framed you. He did it all. So at this point, Bella creeped down the stairs and she listening right at the door. And Sammy, she said he took my wedding day from me. He took your freedom from you. And he said, "That's not the most important thing he took." He said, "Before that, we were going to make up. You were forgiving me for Nicole and everything. We're going to make up." He said, "And because of that, you left or whatever." And she said, he was like, now the truth has come out and things are different. And she says, nothing is different. And he said, no. And I said, EJ, what are you doing? And he said, I'm trying to get Sammy back. I said, that's nasty. You just slept with her sister. Like, what are you doing? You still got bail out on you. Disgust. And anyway, so he says, Sammy, things are different now. She said, no. The worst thing I thought you could ever do to me was sleep with Nicole. She said, but you slept with my sister and I don't want you anymore. And he said, Sammy, we could work through it. She said, no, no, I don't want you anymore. You slept with my sister. That's a different kind of hurt or whatever. So she goes off and everything, and she run over to Allie, and Allie said, Mommy, you okay? And she said, no. And she started breaking down, and she was like, I'm sorry, Allie, I don't want to put this on you. And Allie was like, no, it's okay to have a cry. And so Allie's just there to support Sammy. Now, EJ gonna go back up in the house, right? And Belle is up in the bedroom getting dressed, and he said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "What? We supposed to just hop back in bed or whatever?" He was like, "No, I didn't say that." I said, "Give it to him, Belle. Give it to him, because what you not gonna do?" I feel sorry for Belle. Sean pretty much kicked her out of her own home and let Jan Spears come in. And then she thinks she found something with EJ. And the whole time she kept asking him, is this just about Sammy? He kept saying no. But come to find out, as soon as he could get back with Sammy, he want to get back with Sammy, even though you got her sister upstairs, sir. What is wrong with you? So then Belle is just like, even if I didn't know that you still love Sammy, this could never work between us or whatever. Because, and I'm like, is she saving face? Because, like, go off on him about what he just did. And so they ended it pretty much as them being friends. And I was like, excuse me, Belle? She was just like, it would never work between us because you're still in love with Sammy. And he was like, well, are you going to try to make it work with Sean? And she said, no, I don't know what's going to happen with Sean and everything. And she said, plus, it would never work because Sammy would always, like, I already have Sammy disliking me. And she said, every time I would be with you, I would feel Sammy's presence. And I don't want that or whatever. So they just ended with her being just like, with them both being like, all right, let's not do this. And I said, well, why y'all sleep together in the first place? Huh? Why did y'all mess with each other in the first place if all y'all was gonna do is decide that we don't want to do this anyways? Like, why? You could have left Belle alone so that she would have been able to go back to Sean, because we know she gonna end up going back to Sean. And now you can't even get with Sammy because she gonna be mad that you slept with her sister and everything. Child, it's a whole mess. It's a whole mess. And then for y'all not to even be together, y'all should have just left each other alone. And that was Days of Our Lives to get today, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you tomorrow for the final episode of this week. Bye.